Hello, lately I've been collecting more traditional type pocket knives. Sort of had a bit of an interest in whether they are at all able to stand up to the modern folders that we use every day. What you see in front of you is a traditional Japanese folding knife, or at least I've been led to believe this is a traditional Japanese folding knife. From what I understand, it's an old design, a couple of 100 years old, perhaps even older, and it's very simple. And I think that's probably the case. You do have to be aware, especially with Japanese things, often things are made out to seem a lot more traditional and earthy and authentic than they actually are. However, I've seen enough pictures of these from the war era photographs and things like that, and I've read enough to be fairly certain that these Higo Nakami knives are indeed part of Japanese knife history. Whether they're the oldest Japanese folding knife, I don't think so, and I would doubt that. I'm sure there is an older and more steeped in lore version of such a knife. This particular example is made in a factory in Japan, and I don't really have a great deal more than it is made in Seiki City, Japan, which again isn't too remarkable because most Japanese knives are made in Seiki City, Japan. All of your Spydercos, lots of these Higo knives, and lots of cutlery in general. This knife is a friction folder, and it is locking to a point. And by to a point, I mean it locks with your assistance. The blade tang has this lever on the top, that one there, that you push down to both open it and to hold it in place. If your downward pressure is stronger than any pressure that will tap the back of this knife, then the knife will stay open. If you were to just use the knife like this, things will very easily knock the knife shut. There is a fair element of danger, I feel, when handling this knife. It's not a knife for someone who doesn't use knives often. It's not a knife for teenagers who are going to just get them out and pretend they're ninjas and dance around in front of their bedroom mirrors. They'll cut themselves. You can really feel the lack of sophistication in this knife. Not to say that it's a poor design, it's a very good design. However, there are no safety features. It is Darwinism, very much so. The steel is called a Japanese white steel. That is what the seller, the merchant that sold this to me, said it's made of. It is a laminated knife. Lamination means, I can get some light on there. I'm going to get my pre-on, and hopefully I can show you what the lamination means. Right. There are 3 lines there. There are 2 pieces of strong but softer and more stainless steel on the outside, and the inside piece, which goes all the way down to the terminating edge, which you can see is a bit more of a polished silver, is a harder, more brittle piece of steel with a lower corrosion resistance. So that means that it's somewhat a bit like an old version of how people coat their knives now with oxides and things like that. Except they've used steel. They've welded it, or just as part of the forging process, they've forged these 2 extra pieces of cheaper steel on either side. The knife is very sharp, one of the sharpest factory edges I've had. Got a piece of paracord here. I'm just hesitant about damaging my table, but it does push cut paracord. Screw the table, let's just do this properly. It does push cut paracord very easily, as you can no doubt see. And of course, paper is no obstacle for it either. But sure, I can cut those things, but am I going to use this to do anything apart from having my collection maybe carry every so often as a bit of a novelty? No, I'm not. There is no sense, if you ask me, in carrying such a sharp blade, such a long blade, a blade of 9.5 centimeters. About 4 inches. It is foolish, I think, to carry a 4-inch blade as an everyday carry knife when it doesn't have any safety features protecting you from it. No one is perfect. As much as you could say, well, don't muck around with your knife and be careful with it at all times. That's the philosophy you have when you drive a car, but I'm sure you've all had a small bingle in your car. So a small bingle with this knife could really mean losing a couple of centimeters off the end of your finger, or at least a few stitches. The handle is brass, folded brass. Comes with a nice little picture of a samurai on it, and some Japanese writing on the side there. I don't know what Japanese writing means. This is made in Japan. I got it from someone who I trust. My sister's been to Japan. She brought me back a very similar but smaller variant. Best Made company sell these as well, using a very similar, or the exact same design, but they powder coat and then write the word courage down the side and Best Made down the side with an X, and they are slightly better made, funnily enough. Some imperfections with this knife are the blade centering is quite poor. Lots of black space there, right hugging that wall there. The blade still sticks out a little bit over the handle as well. It's not the sharp part, but it's still not consistent. But I always feel that imperfections and signs of use and scratches, they do add to the character of a knife as long as they don't hinder its use. And this certainly is very usable, but probably not something that I'm going to use myself. Very cool collector piece, talking piece, think piece. And when you hold something like this, it does make you realise how far we've come in folding knives. It's so stark on features that things have been things that sell for half the price have twice the features, is what I'm getting at. I paid 40 Australian dollars for this knife. You can get smaller ones that end about there for 30, that have 2.5 inch blades. You can get much thinner ones. This one's got quite a thick blade stock. Blade stock is 1/8 of an inch. About about 4 millimeters. It is one hand openable, but again, handle with care. And that is all I have to say about the Japanese Ikuchi knife. Sorry, the Japanese Higo no Kami knife. An Ikuchi knife is a fixed sewing or wood marking knife. This is a Higo Nakami knife. Thanks for watching. See you later.